Hey there, I got us in record mode and I do have some people on the line, so if we can open it up for some live Q&A, we definitely will. I am your host for this series, Chrissy Key Rollins, and this is a simple truth series for consciouspreneurs. So we are breaking down the simple truth for what it takes to get that basic business structure into place, how to anchor into your clarity and your confidence so that you can move forward in a way that's very aligned to you and let business be simple instead of overly complicated or following an old outdated paradigm that doesn't really work for you. So if you're just now joining the series, definitely go back and watch the beginning of this series. We have talked about redefining business ownership. We've talked about mastering the art of follow through and what it really takes, what everybody really needs to know about conscious entrepreneurial success. Conscious entrepreneurs, we do it different. We feel big, we have big visions, and this old business model or this well-known mainstream business model just doesn't work for us. We're not going to do whatever it takes in the sense of anything that's going to make us feel way uncomfortable or making the people that we're engaging with potentially feel uncomfortable. We just don't have the energy capacity for that. We're very energy sensitive, and if it's going to make somebody else uncomfortable, it makes us uncomfortable. And this whole idea that we're going to focus on today is around the power of finding clarity. How do you find clarity? How do you know how to get there? How do you know when you are there? And what does that do for you? I think that it's safe to say that most of us have this idea around clarity and the need for clarity. It's part of the vernacular that we use in the business world. And as we're coming into answering our soul's calling, which is what I believe most of us are doing, most of us hit a point in our life where we experience some level of what I often refer to as divine discontent, where although some things may be going well and happening great in your life, there's this urge and this desire and this need for something more. And we don't always know exactly what that more is. We just know that we can't keep doing what we've been doing, can't keep living life the way that we've been living, and we have got to experience this all elusive more that we get this feeling around. And as you get this calling for more, it can be kind of confusing as to what is that more? Where do I go from this place? I know that I'm settling into this place of not being content with my circumstances. I know that there's something more for me, but what could it be? And especially if you're somebody like me who never really thought or planned for an entrepreneurial path in life. It's not something that was on my radar until I was able to see what type of lifestyle that would provide for myself and my family. And I got crazy addicted to this idea of being able to create a business that would allow me to work part-time hours that were flexible, that I could build around a building and growing family so that I could keep my family as top priority, be the primary caretaker of my child, but still make a big contribution not only to the world and to society as a whole, but to contribute financially to my family so that we can open up more options, have more flexibility. And I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. I definitely would have never guessed that I'd be sitting here doing video live streams and training people on how to be successful in business. I had no idea. I would have never guessed that. I probably wouldn't have even guessed that, halfway through my journey. This is my 11th year in business. I hit the 11-year mark in December, just a couple months from the recording of this video. So how do you know which direction to go? How do you know which service to offer? How do you know who to offer that service to? How do you know what price to price them at? How do you know how to present the services? How do you know what components to add in? How do you know all the things that you need to know in order to be successful in your business? How do you get clear? Because I know that whenever I started my business, it was like when I solely went like completely on my own, no subcontracting work, totally just Chrissy in business, I took an evaluation of my assets. I was like, what attributes do I bring to the table? What can I monetize? And I started to look at all the different things that I brought to the table, all the things that sort of interest me, all the things that I thought that I could do fairly well, that I could begin to monetize, that I could begin to sell either as goods or services. I was into photography. I have a huge passion for photography. So I was looking down that avenue. Of course, I had just come out of massage school a couple years prior. So I was really heavily focused on building this massage aspect. I had this great draw towards understanding and implementing whole food nutrition in my life. So I had this going on. And it's like I was in this place where I just needed money. So I was just opening doors left and right, letting anything come in that could come in. But that will only get you so far. That only got me so far. When you are approaching your business like it's a guessing game, in the sense of you don't know which way to go, your lack of clarity and your lack of trusting yourself and your lack of commitment, it is going to be attached to energetically everything that you put out there in your business. So when you are sitting in a place of uncertainty and you're like, I don't know, let me just try this and let me just see if it works. And if nobody responds to it, I just won't worry about following through on it. You're putting out posts and offers with the energy that you're not committed. And then you're wondering why other people aren't committed to seeing it through as well. And if we're not aware that this energy is getting attached to these things, we're going to begin to think that the problem's here. Well, I put out this offer and nobody bid on it. I put out this offer and nobody bid on it. I put out this offer and nobody bid on it. If I had, let's say, if I had $100 for every offer that I put out there that nobody took action on, I'd have a lot more money in my bank account than what I do right now. It's not about getting to clarity, is not so much about knowing exactly what the right answer is for you. So let me just go ahead and clear that part of clarity up. Clarity is not having the absolute knowing that you have picked the right thing. That's something different. That is not clarity. I don't know what that is, but I'm not doing a training on that. Understanding that clarity comes down to one thing and one thing only will really help you to free up all that confused energy that you're carrying around with you, all that non-committal energy that you're carrying around with you. That one thing that will lead you to clarity, this is the only way to get there. This is the only way to get there that I have discovered firsthand myself. And I've been doing this for a little over a decade. So, don't ever take my word for it, ever. You could, but don't. Take what I am offering you, this concept that I'm bringing to the table, and be bold enough to implement it into your own life. Try it out for yourself. Allow yourself to experiment in your life. You can always go back to what you've been doing. You can always go back to what you've been doing. But for the next few days, for me, it was less than 24 hours before I shifted the way that I did everything. But give yourself some time to really experiment with this as if this is a truth that I'm getting ready to say to you. For me, clarity has come through one path and one path only, and that is the path of self-trust. That's it. Clarity, we often think, just like enlightenment, we think it's just like success. We think it's this destination. It's this end point. It's not an end point, it's a state of being. I'm going to say that again. Just like enlightenment, just like success, clarity is not an end point. It's a state of being. It's an experience. It's an ongoing thing. That's the same thing with trust and self-trust. We can take this into a relationship and trust in relationship. Trust isn't, I trust you, and then we'll check in later on down the road whenever I see results of my trustingness coming through as being something that's valid. Trust is something that continues. Trust is in a partnership. I trust that you are the awesome person that I committed myself to. So anytime that I don't see that behavior coming forth from you in an obvious manner, I trust that I must be misunderstanding you. I trust that there's more to the story. I trust that you can help me to see it from your perspective so that I can better understand you. That's a whole different ball game than trust is. I'm going to trust that you're going to honor your commitments, and whenever it looks like you're not, then I'm going to withhold my trust. That's not trust at all. So we have to look at clarity in that same manner, and of course, flip that self-trust back onto ourselves, flip that trust back onto ourselves. Clarity is the same thing. It is not an end destination. You're not going to arrive to a state of clarity and then bam, life is crystal clear from that point on, and you never have to do anything or guess anything or doubt anything or worry about anything or fear anything. It's just not how it works. It's the same way again with enlightenment. It's not about having a real revelation that you are this infinite being and then bam, your entire life changes. No, you just begin the integration process. So the same thing happens with clarity. You get to this point of self-trust that you can listen to your internal self and bring forth your heart's desires and trust yourself to take action on them. Trust that you will be able to handle whatever outcome or lack of outcome you find on the other side. Trust that when you hit on the right thing, it's going to take you for a ride. It's not anything you have to effort towards. And trust the process is going to take you to your destiny. And trust that you can't mess it up. This is what clarity can bring to you. This is where you start to tap into clarity. When I began to know myself on an intimate level, not just who I was used to being or who I thought I was or who I was in relationship to anybody or anything else in my world, but really understanding that the more that I get to know myself on an intimate level, the more that I love myself, the more that I build my self-trust, the more that I take to action my heart's desires, detached from the results that come to the other side, just like that whole trust thing that I just spoke about just a moment ago. The more that I do these things, the more clear I am about who I am and what I'm here to do. And the more clarity that I get around who I am and what I'm here to do, the more internal guidance steps forward that I can clearly hear and begin to trust and take action on. So it's not that clarity is not coming to you. It's coming to you, but you haven't built the trust to listen to it yet. You haven't built the trust within yourself. Anybody who's in the Consciouspreneur Club already knows about the Transform Fear into Confidence Challenge. It's a beautiful 5-day challenge for conscious entrepreneurs that I run the first week of every single month in the Consciouspreneur Club. And what I did in that series was I reverse engineered action. And I found that confidence was a precursor to taking action. So I got really curious as to what's at the core of confidence. And I took you on this journey from starting at this core of confidence to working your way up to this outer layer of confidence so that you naturally take action as a side effect. And as I take you through this process, highly recommend this challenge, by the way. If you haven't taken it, totally go check it out. It's amazing. And many people take it over and over again. So that's kind of testament to its awesomeness in itself, I believe. But what we found was that at the core of confidence is self-love. And that the reason why so many people struggle with follow through, much like what we talked about in the last training, like literally exactly what we talked about in the last training, when you love yourself, when you have an intimate, connected, deeply rooted, loving, supportive relationship with yourself, a partnership, a true partnership with yourself, follow through becomes a pretty easy thing. Follow through becomes a demonstration of your self-love. And as you follow through on things that are uncompleted, you begin to build your trust. Because what you're doing through those acts of follow through, it's not a doing in order to get type thing. It is an understanding that if your heart says, my body really wants to move, and I'd love for you to wake up early in the morning and work out. And in that moment, you're like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm totally on board for that. I'd love to move too. Until it's 6 a.m. and that alarm's going off and you're like, I'm tired, body. I'm just going to stay in bed because it's easier for me now. You start to chip away at your self-trust. You start to subconsciously teach yourself you're somebody who does not follow through. You begin to tell your internal self, your soul who's speaking to you so often, telling you exactly what to do. You're telling your soul, I'm not going to follow through on what you say. So then we get into this push-pull relationship with ourself. We get in this push-pull relationship with our internal self and our soul who has chosen us, our physical form, to live its heart's desires through in this life, is now left in this push-pull situation with this strong desire to do something and this strong, also overwhelming sense of, I'm never going to figure it out. Because even when the soul comes forward with the answer, you're not trusting and believing it anyway. So what's the point? Let's take this outside of ourselves. If you were to have a relationship with somebody outside of yourself in this manner, you would not stay in that relationship. So why are you doing this to yourself? It's because you haven't taken the time and society has not supported you, and your loved ones, no matter how much they love you, have not been a good example for you of self-love, of active daily self-love. It's just not something that happens very much in our society. And if you stop and think about it, there's a lot of people who profit big time on the fact that we don't love ourselves and that we're not connected to ourselves and that we don't trust ourselves. And what's so crazy is that a lot of people are really well intended, but at the same time, there's this culture of preying on our fears. And that often doesn't resonate with us conscious entrepreneurs because it doesn't feel good to be focused on our fears and what is going on with other people's fears. I don't want to get too far off track, but the point is this. If you are lacking clarity, I could teach you step by step how to get clear, but you're never going to actually follow through on it and do it until you trust yourself first. It's just like this entire series, which is why I didn't bring you a series of action steps. I brought you a series of mindsets with action steps attached to it. Because if I just brought you the action steps, if I just made these trainings to be around, this is how you create a niche market, this is how you create a marketing message, this is how you put together your packages, this is how you figure out your pricing, this is how you engage in a sales conversation where people say yes. If I just gave you that information, you still wouldn't take action on it. You wouldn't. Not to the degree of what's possible whenever you trust yourself first. So if you're somebody who's struggling with clarity, build your self-trust. If you're not quite sure where to begin on self-trust, start with loving yourself and connecting to yourself and getting to know yourself on an intimate level. That saying, know thyself, it's so powerful. It is so powerful, and there's so much truth to it. And this is before you're going to get into clarity around who you're supposed to serve, what pricing and packages and offerings and sales conversations, all that stuff, all that businessy stuff. Before you're ever going to have clarity around that, you have got to build that foundation of a connection with yourself, really getting to know yourself on an intimate level, because you will never know what tribe you're supposed to be speaking to until you know your own vibe. And you're not ever going to be a good match. Or let me just say it this way. When I say you're not ever, I'm just saying that the odds are not in your favor. It is less likely that this is going to happen for you. It's just less likely. And again, this is from my own experience. So if you've had a different experience, I am open to having that conversation as well. But from my experience, after years of trying to force myself, get myself, thinking that I was wrong, shooting on myself, and not being very kind to myself because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't realize that I was just hurting myself that much more. I mean, beyond the fact that I was like literally hurting myself with unkind words and unkind feelings and experiences that I had going on, but I wasn't allowing myself to step into the level of success that I was destined for. And it was when I started to cultivate a more loving, connected relationship with myself, when I began to understand my own intuition. Did you know that most of the training that I was exposed to was that we have an ego and then we have a higher self, and that those are two separate entities. And in order to live into our greatness, you got to get rid of the ego and live into that higher self. That's the way that I was trained. What I am learning to be true is that the ego and the higher self are one thing, and that one thing is living inside of you, and you're the human, you're the physical expression of that internal thing that's going on. And all of that is your intuition. All of it. The thing that's championing you forward and the thing that's saying you're never going to make it. All of that is your intuition. And if you don't know how to decipher your own intuition, you're going to be running in circles and never really trusting yourself or know which direction to go. So somebody had chatted in earlier asking about which lessons can we learn from our guides when making decisions, and when we make these conscious and clear decisions? Which ones are going to come from our guide and which ones can come from ourselves? They're all going to come from you, because you came here to be your guide through this life, and you hold all the answers. And any other support that is coming in is speaking and connecting to that aspect within you so that you can receive those messages. Pretty freaking radical, huh? It's you. You're the key to all of this. You're the secret ingredient in this magical soup that we're cooking up together. It's you. And if you're constantly seeking those answers outside of yourself, there's not going to be a template, a done for you exercise, journaling. I mean, none of these things are going to bring that clarity unless, and let's say it this way, even if it does bring the clarity, you're not going to trust it and you're not going to take action on it. you're still going to be doubting yourself. Well, how do you know? And we're so accustomed to getting these answers outside of ourselves and to get that validation. And yes, work with a high level coach that can help to give you that validation and can help to walk you through making this process more integrated. I mean, I totally work with people one-on-one. So if you want to talk about that, we can. But I encourage you to get this foundation in place. Either work with somebody who can help you get this foundation in place, or work on that before you start seeking outside. Because just like I hear from so many of you, you're wasting your time and energy plugging into more and more trainings. Not this one. This one doesn't count. But the other ones, I'm just joking, sort of. You're wasting your time plugging into trainings that are showing you to seek the answer outside of yourself. That all you have to do is plug in this magic formula and bam, there's your answer. Now, magic formulas do exist and they are wonderful. But again, you're not going to even trust the answer that that magical formula gives you until you trust yourself, until you give yourself permission to live into your destiny, until you understand, until you know thyself to the point that you really get, you are the chosen one for this soul's journey, this heart's desire. You're the only one that's getting that message. You are the only one that's getting that message. You. Now it becomes this very intimate dance between your internal self and your external self to bring this message to full fruition. And what if you just took 1 week, 1 day, 1 month and just allowed yourself to fully surrender to whatever was coming forward and just took action on it and see what happens? Now, I understood that concept for a very long time, but I didn't do it until I built a level of self-love that allowed me to stop treating myself like crap whenever I didn't get the results that I knew were possible or that I thought was on the other side. And as I started to love myself, I started to naturally follow through on my soul's desires. I started to naturally trust myself to see this through. And I just really settled into this place of what if? What if I am the chosen one? What if I will never know the answers until I get into action? What if the only way to build my self-trust is to trust my heart, my intention? Instead of sitting back and thinking, I really hope that I don't come across salesy or that I'm all about the money, why not trust that the fact that I have concern about coming across salesy and being all about the money is proof and evidence in itself that I could never come across that way as long as I'm speaking from my heart. But as long as I'm holding on to that energy of I hope not, that energy is going to be attached to whatever it is that comes out of my mouth, and that subtle vibe is going to turn people away. Even if they know me, even if they like me, even if they trust me, even if they think that I'm amazing, there's going to be something that says, I just can't afford to. And then they'll turn around and they'll invest 3 times the amount with somebody else. This happens all the time. I know y'all have seen this happen. Someone says, oh, I can't afford it. And then they end up paying somebody else way more money than what you were asking. It's because they're buying that person's confidence. They're buying that person's self-trust. That's it. That's it. It's a pretty powerful thing. And whenever we can allow it to be the simple truth that it is and stop tripping up over all these external things. I just went through the same thing with this series. This is the first video that I had a name for this series. It didn't stop me from doing the first 3 videos in this series, not having a name, because I've trusted myself to the point of knowing that at some point that clarity is going to click in. That knowingness is going to step forward. And in that perfect moment, I'm going to know it. And as soon as simple truths came to my mind, bam, I knew that that was the right fit for this series. I just knew it. I don't know if it's going to resonate with you or not, but it resonated so deeply with me, I couldn't help but just commit to it and move forward. And I also trust myself enough to know that I am ever evolving, just like my business. So if I put something out there and it doesn't stick, it doesn't mean I've effed anything up. It just means that wasn't it. Try again. But the more that I learn how to feel my way through this process instead of think my way through the process, the closer I get to hitting the nail on the head every single time. And the more people naturally are drawn to me, the more people opt into what I am putting out there. And it is a part of what it is that I'm putting out there. There's a plan for that. And actually, that's what I'm going to share in the next video. Hey, Nia, welcome. Glad that you could join us, sweetie. There's a couple other ladies on the line. I got everybody muted out, but the chat function is open. So if there's anything on this topic that you want to hear about, go ahead and chat that in. I'd love to just incorporate it into everything I got going on. So welcome. So in the next video, I'm going to talk more about how do you really attract that tribe, and how do you speak their vibe, or excuse me, speak their jive. But you can't know how to attract your tribe or speak their jive if you don't know your own vibe, which is why we're talking about clarity. And when you don't know yourself, when you don't get the fact that you are a fleshy expression of this soul inside you that's chosen you to live through this mission and calling, when you don't know yourself to that intimate of a level, and you don't trust yourself to that degree, because that's pretty big. It's a pretty big thing. But you know what? I don't know it to be a fact. I just know that when I move forward as if that's a truth in my life, magic happens. Like, for real magic, to the point that I'm trying to figure out how to even put it into words so that I can pass it over to you guys. Because if I can do the magic, I know that you can do the magic too. And the more that I realize that I am the magic, or the more that I live my life as if I'm the magic, the more magic happens. The more magic happens. So next video, we're going to talk more about how do you make those Facebook groups? Why do you make those Facebook groups? Why should you not make those Facebook groups? How do you create those posts and those emails that attract people, that are like magnets that people are drawn to, that instantly get people to take action and engage? And how do you create cohesive content in a way that doesn't make you go crazy or take up all the time that you have to work in your business to create the content? I'm going to share with you a simple formula in the next video, a very simple formula that allows you to create a year's worth of content in under an hour. What? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So definitely plug into that. But again, I could tell you about these Facebook groups. I could tell you how to create this content, but you're never going to put it into action, and you're never going to put it into action in a way that really attracts and has a lot of stickiness, unless you have those foundational levels of energetic juju happening underneath the surface. Because if you put forth a perfect post and you got a whole bunch of mucky energy because you don't trust yourself, you don't love yourself, you're not quite sure what you're doing, you're putting forth all this stuff, not being in clarity, but you're so desperate to get an income, you're just following the formula and praying to God that somebody takes some action so that you can please pay that next bill before it's due tomorrow, right? You've been there? Yes, I've been there. That energy doesn't feel good even talking about it, and we can sniff it out whenever we see your post. So we just naturally, we don't go to it. And it's not because you're not awesome. It's not because you don't have greatness that you're bringing to the table. It's not because we don't know, like, and trust you. It's because we are energetic beings that are sensitive to other people's energy. And we all do this, all of us, even those that don't realize that they're doing it. When we don't know that we have that going on, we're going to think that the problem is us, and we're going to continue to perpetuate this disconnect within us. And it's only when we settle into creating an intimate relationship with ourselves, settle into trusting ourselves, that we can begin to take that action and attract the results that we really desire. Sue, did you want to jump out and say something? Okay, I'm going to mute you back out. Sue, if you are trying to speak out and say something, then just unmute yourself and hop back out. Otherwise, I'm thinking you just got unmuted by not intentionally. So. Okay, so self-trust is the secret to clarity, for sure, without a doubt. You can spend all your time with, the spinning your wheels and taking those actions, but or taking the action to get clarity. You can do all those formulas. How do I know my perfect tribe? How do I know who it is that I'm supposed to be doing? You're going to go through those exercises and still be like, I still don't know if this is right. I still don't know if I have the right person, right? Nia says in the chat here, she says, I have a lot of mucky energy going on right now. Nia, you're not alone. Not at all. You aren't alone in the fact that you're probably the second or third person that I've heard in the last 24 hours be like, when am I going to get out of this funk? I don't know how long it's been happening for you, but it's been swirling. And what I can say is that if you feel like that right now, first and foremost, love the one who's dealing with the muckiness. You don't have to love the muckiness. Muckiness sucks. Nobody likes the funk. You don't have to love the funk. You don't have to love the mucky. Love the one who's feeling the funk. Love the one who's feeling that mucky energy around you. Love her or him, because it's bad enough to be in that place. It's another thing to be in that place and then not get your loving acceptance in the process. So love the one who's going through it. Don't have to love the situation. Secondly, you got to understand, you have made a commitment to live into your greatness. You said, I'm getting my soul's calling. I don't even know what the F that means, but I'm going to answer it, because not answering it feels like way worse than anything that I've ever felt before. And when you say that, your soul's like, yes, it's on. That means anything that is not true to your greatness has to begin to bubble up and surface and find its way out. So you have begun the healing process. I've got chills all over my body as I am sharing this with y'all. Once you declare your greatness, you begin to live into it. To live into it, it means you must free yourself of anything that is not compatible. It's not Y2U compatible. I just made that one up, right? So as you live into that next level of you, all this other yucky mucky stuff, it can't go along. It can't go to where you're going. Now, the person feeling it, all of that person has to come along for the journey. So you can't be like, you suck. I don't like dealing with you. I don't like remembering that stuff about you. So you get shoved down here and hopefully I'll make enough money that I can just forget about you altogether. No, that part of you has to come along for the journey. But the stories, the mistruths, all that discord, all that dis-ease, all that muckiness, it's got to go, baby, because that's not greatness. That's the opposite of greatness. That's why it feels like crap and it doesn't feel like greatness. And your body is a truth barometer. So as it's feeling all this crappiness, it's like, hey, this isn't what we signed up for. Why are we going through all this? I thought we were living into our greatness, right? You are living into your greatness. And that part of you that's thinking this isn't great, it's got to go because this is great. You don't have to like it. Just love the one who's going through it. And the more that I turned my attention on loving myself, regardless of what I was feeling, the easier it was to go through the muck. It didn't make the muck disappear, but I'll be danged if it didn't move along a lot faster. And you know what? It didn't even matter if it moved along faster because I was loving me. And when I made my focus to have an amazing experience, no matter what was happening around me, I started to have a lot more amazing experiences happening around me because it doesn't happen out here and then magically it comes here. No, it happens in here and then you see it out there. It's kind of like being hungry. I've been using this analogy a lot lately. It's not like you get hungry and then you're pissed off that a pizza didn't magically appear. No, you felt it within your body and then you started to take action because you trust yourself through the process. You trust the people that you're engaging with and then you get your pizza. It's the same thing no matter what it is that we're manifesting. So as you start to feel the muckiness, as you start to feel the aches and pains of this healing journey, because really that's what you said yes to, was a big old healing journey, then you can relax into it. Sometimes easier said than done, but I'm a huge fan of relaxing into it and just allowing the process because the more that I relax, the more that I allow, the more that I receive. So that kind of keeps my ego on board with all of this stuff because my ego is sometimes like, yeah, Chrissy, I don't know about this, right? Because the ego thinks it's getting the curb. It's going to be kicked to the curb because that's what all that training said is that once I get into greatness, you're going to be bye-bye. And the ego is like, F you, I've been here all along and I'm not going anywhere. So you better figure out how to bring me along or else I'm just going to muck up your path to get there. But when you can begin to have that intimate relationship, you realize, hey, babe, I know you're suffering and I know you're pissed off. And quite frankly, I'm pissed off that we got into this situation too, but we know where we're going. So let's start heading in that direction. It's a totally different experience. Totally different experience. When you move forward as if your destiny is success, you have a completely different experience than you moving forward as if, I hope this might work. It's a totally different experience, but the difference is not what happens externally. The difference is what happens internally. And then that shifts what's happening externally. Okay, I'm going to hit on all my notes now because I know that I want to keep this at 45 minutes. So if you are on the line and you haven't chatted in yet or you got anything that you want to add or let me know, am I hitting the mark with what I'm talking about today? Always love to know that I'm making sense. If you want to chat anything or take yourself off mute, now would be a great time for that. I'm just going to review my notes real quick and make sure that I've hit on all these points. And then I'm going to give you some action items. Because, what good's all this chit chat if we're not going to take some action, right? Okay, so I already talked about knowing thyself and how that is the precursor to really understanding which tribe you're supposed to be talking to. Who's that niche market? Who's that target market? Who is that tribe that you are ready to connect with, to offer your services to, that is hungry for what it is that you have to offer. You will not know who that audience is until you know yourself. Because if you're trying to think your way to this answer, I'm just going to speak from experience. I thought my way to the answer and I came up with something and I hit the ground running and I didn't get results, so I abandoned the answer and I changed it to something else. Then I started to get results. And you know what those results led me to? Going back to the first thing that I came up with that I didn't trust myself enough to keep moving forward with because I didn't get the validation that I was looking for because I didn't trust myself enough. Right? So 3 years later, here I am going back to my original pitch, going back to my original audience to a degree, some slight modifications, but I'm hitting on the same exact things that I did years ago. And yes, I'm not even going to make this any more about me, but I'm just saying you got to know who you are before you'll know exactly who it is that you're meant to be talking to, because this thing's only going to get you so far. Where you're going, you need this thing, right? And this is one of the places, the top places that I hear people struggle is around their purpose. I'm going to remedy this one for everybody who is here watching right now and in the replay. You are your purpose. It's you. Your purpose is to be you. My purpose is to be Chrissy. That's it. And the more that I focus my purpose on being Chrissy, the more I know what Chrissy is here to do. There is no right answer. I can't tell you what you should be doing. Only you can tell you what you should be doing. But when I shifted my focus from figuring out my purpose to understanding that my purpose is to be Chrissy, everything got really, really clear. The more I got to know Chrissy, what is she like? What does she not like? What has she been into her whole life? Where is she naturally drawn to? What is she naturally into? The more I connected the pieces over what it is that I'm supposed to be bringing to the world. And all of a sudden, my entire life makes sense. Entire life makes sense. Do you know how liberating that is? It's completely liberating. And how much of a bonus is it that all this liberation is happening right before my 20th high school reunion? I just think that that's like a super bonus because, yeah, who had this kind of clarity 20 years ago in high school? Not this girl, that's for sure. I did not know myself. I thought my purpose was to figure out how to be accepted by other people. And isn't that what we do when we get into this entrepreneurial world? It's like, I just want them to like me. I want to fit in. I want to do it like other people are doing it. But you can't do that because you didn't come here to create what other people are creating. You came here to be you fully expressed. And the more that you learn who you are and the more that you trust yourself to express that into the world, the easier this whole game gets. You were made for this. You don't have to figure out how to make your business work. You got to figure out how you work. And then all the rest will fall into place. We can't jump ahead. You can't skip over yourself in this process. You can't. You are your purpose and you are enough now. You don't need any more trainings. You don't need any more guidance. You actually have had a shit ton of trainings. You've made a lot of investments. Even if you haven't, you have. I know that you have. You've invested your time. You've invested your money. You've invested your energy. And I bet you have implemented 1/10 of what you have actually invested in. So realize you are enough now. If you just focus on implementing the information and materials that you have already invested in, you wouldn't need anything further. You really wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. I'm sitting on mounds of information that I probably couldn't even fully implement all of. So whenever we realize or come forward from a place of I am enough now, you'll have a totally different experience. You are enough now. So instead of hustling or reaching outward or trying to think your way through this, take some time to be still. I've been quoted as saying stillness is the new hustle because it is. You need to catch up with you. You have done so much growth. You have left yourself behind in the process and you need to catch up with you. So be still. And in that stillness, you'll begin to learn your internal voice. And as you learn that voice, you will naturally know what action you should be taking. You are enough now. And anything that you need for this journey is going to come to you through your own intuition, your own inner wisdom, your own inner knowledge, or somebody's going to cross your path with the answer. But that cannot happen until you get into action. And where does all this self-trust lead us to, right? Where does all this self-trust lead us to? It leads us to being able to have that clarity around who that specific audience is. If you are struggling in your business, part of the reason that is likely happening is because you are not speaking to a specific audience or you're not speaking to them in a way that they can hear you. So it is very important, even if you can do everything for everybody, it is very important that you identify who you most enjoy working with. Now, this is important on a number of levels, one of which is that it's who you most enjoy working with. It doesn't matter who you can help. Who are you most excited to help? Who do you most delight in the thought of helping? Take a moment right now and go ahead and start jotting down a few thoughts. What do your ideal clients look like? If you have clients that you've worked with in the past that you really love to work with, what are some of their traits? What are some of their qualities? Do you know people in your life that you would love to have sign up to work with you or to opt into whatever it is that you have going on? What traits do they have? Why do you feel that they're an ideal client? And let me help you out with this too. Your ideal client is not necessarily somebody with money. So often I hear people say, well, my ideal client has to be making X amount of income because then they can afford to hire me. No. Broke people will hire you. People who cannot afford to hire you will hire you. They will do it. And not because it's a swindle type situation or that you're trying to, take them their money. They're going to do it because they know that investing with you will help them get to a better place in their life. You are worth that investment. You are worth taking on debt for. I'm just saying you're worth it. I'm not saying that I encourage people to get into debt. I have a whole 21-day money power shift. If you want to talk money with me, that I will share all of my money philosophies and thoughts, feelings around. But I am saying that you cannot tell yourself that only people with X amount of income can afford your services because it's a BS lie. It's a lie. It's not the truth. You're going to need to get clear on that. You need to expand past that. And if you have a hard time getting past that, then just make this an imaginary, dream-like scenario. Imagine that you're going to be starting a business and imagine it's full of all of your ideal clients. What attributes would those people have, and leave money out of the equation? Just leave it out of the equation. It's a sign that you have a limiting belief about what's possible for you. And again, if that's you, highly recommend you check out the 21-day money power shift. It's going to be starting in just a few weeks as we tip over into October. It is on early bird special right now for just $222. You can check out all the information at bit.ly/money power shift. I also have a referral program that is happening right now. And actually, you know what? I think I said that through today, you can join at the early bird special of $222 with a partner. Just pay $222 and you and your partner can go through the entire course together. You're also gifted with a spot in my mastermind, my Consciouspreneur Mastermind, which is an amazing group of integrity-filled, committed, heart-centered business owners and non-business owners that are committed to living into their fullest expression in this life. So you get that support in the community, you get tons of free trainings, you get monthly group healing sessions, all for the rest of 2017 for just that one price of $222. And if you are like, hey, I want to do this early bird special, I want to save that money before the price goes up on the 20th, I think is when it goes up, but I don't have $222, well, then I'll split that into two payments. You can do $111 now and then $111 30 days out. So no problem, got you covered. Just reach out to me to find out more about that. So back to our niching down in ideal market. Why do you need to do this? It's because if you tell everybody that you can do everything for everybody, everybody will be like, that's cool. They'll give you a high five, tell you you kick ass, and then they won't invest in you. They won't refer to you because they don't know what the hell that means. They need to know that you work with a specific person with a specific problem. You help them to get to a specific result. That's what they want. That's what they need to know. You need to teach people how to refer to you, and you do that through your marketing message. You do that by identifying what specific audience it is that you want to serve, and then you get in touch with them. Like literally reach out and say, hey, can I interview you? Or how do we do it these days? Hey, can I interview you? Right? Does anybody type like that anymore? Or is it just me because I got the BlackBerry? People do that? I don't even do that. I do this. One thumb, one finger, drives my husband crazy, super efficient. I like it. Gotta be ourselves, right? Anyway, you reach out to these people, you connect with them on Facebook, you get on the phone with them, you offer to take them out for coffee, whatever it takes to get these people's full attention. And you ask them questions. You stop talking about you and what you do and how you do it and why you do it. Stop talking about that shit. Nobody cares about that. They don't care about it until they're invested in what you have going on. Until then, they're tuned into one station and one station only, and that's WIIFM, What's in It for Me. So you better find out what they want so you can give it to them. Right? Yes. Get in touch with these people. If you know somebody that embodies your ideal client, hell, Interview yourself, because likely your ideal client is going to be a reflection of you. Why? Because part of your perfect training to your perfect destiny was to put you through a bunch of shitty, crappy shit so that you can learn how to get your way through it so you can help other people through it. So start to take a look at your own self, your own journey, your own struggles, what you want, what your desires are. Identify these things. I got chills, y'all. This is good stuff. Good stuff. At least I hope it's good stuff. I think it's good stuff because it's changing my life. That's why I can't stop talking about it. That's why I came up with this whole series. That's why I put it into action before I had everything perfect. I just got to sign in. It's still not perfect. I got people that signed up and I said, I'm going to email you information so you can get on the next live training. And you know what? It all happened so quickly that I didn't do that. But you know what? I trust myself. I trust that I have good intentions. I trust that I'm going to take full ownership over that. And I trust that I will not fail at my business just because I didn't do it how everybody said to do it. And in fact, that's part of the reason that it took me so long to have a sign up available, is because I was telling myself that it had to be done in a certain way that I didn't really know how to do, but I knew I could figure it out. But I kept not figuring it out because it was not what I was supposed to do. When it clicked in my mind that the only reason it hadn't happened yet, the days had passed without me taking action, was because I was trying to do something the way that I thought it needed to be done, and I was overlooking what felt best to me. Then I said, self, what feels best to you? Okay, what feels best to me is to have an opt-in that's optional, because I want to get this series out there, and I don't want to make a bunch of people sign into something so that I can capture their email, so that I can send them their series, so that I can send them an email and have them opt out of it. I don't want to go through all that. What I want to do is give you good stuff. And if you like my good stuff, invite you to follow me along. If you don't want to follow me along, cool. And if you do, awesome. And then I know every single person that's on my list wants to be there. That's a whole different experience than going through what I think I have to do, or putting off what it is that I really want to do until I feel like I know how to do it perfectly. It's just a game changer. And it all comes from self-trust, which all came from self-love. That's it. It's so simple, but we complicate it because we don't love ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We're not aware of our own worth and value. And we're following a bunch of people that are in the same situation. And those that are hitting levels of success are working off an old paradigm that is working for them because they have this going on underneath the surface. But because we're all conditioned that we go through the actions, all that they're teaching is the actions. Now, not to say there's not some awesome mindset people out there. There's some phenomenal mindset people out there that are teaching a lot of really powerful mindset stuff. But I'm telling you, there's more to the story than just the physical actions. It's this balance of the masculine and feminine, the seen and the unseen, the outer self, the inner self, that makes the magic happen, that allows things to manifest, that keeps things unfolding. They're going to unfold anyway. Your job isn't to control those outcomes. Your job is to pay attention to what experience you are having and what you're deciding about yourself and this world around you based on those outcomes. That's it. You got the power to define it to be anything you want. So from this day forward, I'm giving you permission to define it all as success and one step closer to where you're going. One step further away from the pain. Every tear that you shed is one less than you're going to cry. That's a fact. Doesn't mean it's going to be the last one that you're going to cry. There might be plenty more, but just know they're all leaving. This is everything you've been suppressing, babe. It's going to bubble up. You're going to feel all the things that you've been stuffing down and trying not to feel all this time. And it's going to be okay. You know why? Because you've got you. You've got you to support yourself through it. Let yourself feel all the feels. Let yourself cry all the cries. And then trust yourself enough to know you are the chosen one for this journey. The chosen one for this journey, and you have everything within you to see it through. So work on that self-love. If you need to build some self-trust, start following through on the things that you haven't done. Go watch that last video. Hop over to the group. Take the Transform Fear into Confidence Challenge. We'll go really deep into all those things. Okay. So action step for you. Identify who it is that you really want to be working with. This is just a key component, right? I promise to bring you everything that you need for a basic outline for your business, along with all the mindset and internal energetic work that's needed in order to set all that action into fruition. Here's your action step. Figure out your tribe. I don't care what you call this. If you want to call it your niche, if you want to call it your target market, if you want to call it your tribe, if you want to call it your audience, whatever you want to call it, babe, you call it whatever you want. Find out who that ideal client is. Some people call it an avatar. Some people call it an ideal client. It's whatever you want it to be. You can make up your own rules on this. Find out who they are. Find out what they want. And find out for yourself how you help them to get there. Because if you don't know where people want to go, you will be talking about you and not how you help people get to this destination. Your ideal client, your tribe, your true ideal client is already looking for you. They're out there actively. They don't have a ton of money in the bank account and they don't care about that at all because they will pay whatever for the solution. They just don't know that you have the solution because all you're talking about is your process. And if they knew that they needed your process, they would have signed up ages ago. They don't know what they need. You know what they need. What they do know is what they want. So you need to find out what it is that they want so that you can start to give it to them. It's very, very simple. Very simple. It doesn't always feel that way. It doesn't always feel easy, but it's very, very simple process. Find out who they are. Identify who they are. Think about people that you know that you've worked with that were your ideal clients. Think about people that you know that you would love to have come onto your team or purchase your goods or services, whatever it is that you got going on. And then begin to talk to them, interview them, and find out what it is that they want. Get out of yourself for a while and get into them. What do you want? Or put yourself back into where you were before you started this journey. What did you want? Because the majority of us conscious entrepreneurs, we're bringing something to the table that has profoundly affected our lives. We integrated into our lives totally changed, and we're like, holy Toledos. Everybody needs to know this, and I'm going to go tell them. That's usually how this process starts. So think about yourself. Where were you at? What were you feeling like? What were you experiencing in your life? What were you desiring so much? What end result would you have given everything that you have to get? Identify what that is. Identify what your people are hungry for. What are they talking about? I guarantee you your ideal client is not walking around out there saying, if only I had optimal health, my whole world will work out nicely. They're not saying that. You know that they need optimal health. They don't even know what that means. And in fact, they can't even think about what you just said because they're so distracted by their real pain, their real problem. My tribe needs self-love, self-trust, self-worth. I don't market everything to these things because y'all don't always know that that's what you need. What I market is how do you get more time? How do you have more peace of mind? How do you manage your energy? How do you decrease distractions? How do you get over anxiety? How do you take action in your business? How do you feel good about doing it? Those are the conversations that I'm having because that's what my people are saying. They're saying, if only I could get over my procrastination. If only I could stop being so lazy and take action. They think the problem is that they procrastinate and they're lazy. I know they just need to love themselves. So if I walking around saying, hey, I can teach you how to love yourself, you'd be like, great, I'll get to that as soon as I'm done being lazy and procrastinating, right? But if I show up and I'm like, I will show you how you can end laziness today. I will show you how you can never procrastinate again. I don't know if I can show you that, but I can show you how to get started on that journey. Actually, I probably could teach you that because you're only ever going to do that which you were destined to do anyway. So it's not procrastination, it's divine unfoldment is what that is. Bam, right? Get in touch with how they're talking. Get in touch with what they're saying they want, they need, they desire. And get in touch with what they will pay to invest in. Wow, you want that? If someone could show you how to do that, would you invest in that? What would you pay for that? Is that worth like $100? Is that worth like $1,000? Start to feel people out. Have these conversations. And because you're making it about them, they'll keep on talking. As soon as you make it about you, then they start to get quiet. It's just how it goes. They just get quiet and they listen and they wait for you to stop moving your mouth so they can talk about themselves. So you might as well ask them questions about themselves and you can, knock out 2 authentic stones at one time, or birds, stones, whatever, the analogy. Okay. So your tribe is already out there looking for you. They just don't know what the solution is. So help them find you. Help them find you. So you start talking about what they want most, and you start talking about how you're an expert to help them get there, and you start sharing little tiny tips on how they can get there, or just even talk about that. They're going to be drawn to you. They're going to naturally select you. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, my friend Rachel was just saying that she wishes that she had more time. You help people with time. She really needs more time, right? Who doesn't need more time? But if you need more time, watch the previous video because I talk about it there. Or was it the day before? Whatever. Watch all the videos. They're good. Watch them a few times. They're great. Okay, so stop talking and start listening. And once you hear what they say, what that they want, then give it to them. You no longer are a Reiki practitioner. You're now a result getter. You're no longer a coach. You're now a result expert. It's so different. People are like, oh, you're a coach? That's cool. But if they're like, oh, you're a time management expert? That's awesome. I need to learn how to manage my time. How do you do that? What do you charge? How do I get started? Y'all can feel how people are naturally prompted by the difference here. Y'all can feel it. They'll feel it. It's magic, magic, magic. And what they want to hear along with how you are going to get them there, no, excuse me. Scratch that. They don't care how you get them there. They just want to know that you're confident that you will get them there. Don't start talking about the how. It's like selling a car. But I mean, I don't want to make this like sleazy sales, but let's just think about this. When you're buying a car, you're thinking, I need to get from point A to point B in the most efficient manner. That's what you're most interested in. And if somebody's like, but look at this sun visor, you're going to be like, shove the sun visor up your you know what, because all I need is a car that gets me from here to there, right? So don't talk about the features. Talk about how it's the best car for getting you to where it is that you desire. And when you can help people identify, we're gonna go deep into how to sell without ever selling again. We're going to talk about that on the last video. So we're going to go deep into that. But just understand what they want. What they're buying is your confidence. Your confidence. That's it. They don't want what you have to offer. They want the confidence that you are going to deliver it to them. That's it. It's very, very simple. But again, we'll make it way more difficult if we don't understand how simple it is. So again, here's your action item for this training. Identify who that ideal client is. Where do you find them? Who do you know that's like them? And start to get in touch with them. Ask them what their biggest challenge is. Ask them what their most desired result is, and start to get in touch with what they're talking about, what they want, where it is that they want to go. And then you move forward in focusing everything you do to addressing, helping them overcome their challenge, helping them get to that index destination. That's what you talk about. That's it. You just become a result factory, not the car factory. You know what I mean? It's not about the vehicle that you take them in. It's about the fact that you can get to that end destination. That's what people are most interested in. And another interesting thing that I wanted to hit on right now before we close out this session, because I really did want to keep this at 45 minutes. I think we're over that already, is that clarity is about getting clear on what your purpose is, what your tribe is, what's your marketing message, what's your pricing, what's your packaging, like all that stuff. Yes, that's part of clarity. But part of getting clear is also clearing your mind, your body, and your spirit. You have to cleanse yourself of limited thoughts, limited thinking and beliefs. You have to clear out all the garbage that's floating around in your body that you're consuming that's perpetuating negative thinking and depressed feelings. Clear yourself out. Like, clarity isn't just about getting those answers, but I am telling you from firsthand experience, the better that I treat my body nutritionally with nutritional cleansing and flooding it with super nutrients on a daily basis, I do it in a very cost efficient manner. It has worked into my lifestyle for like the last 9 years. So, I mean, this is easy stuff to do if you find the right system that works for you. As I started to clear out some of the garbage that's in my body, I found my mental chatter to diminish, and I found a lot more clarity in my thinking. So if you're somebody who's really struggling, now if you're in a place that you're like, I cannot put the ice cream down, Chrissy, because ice cream's the only reason that I'm even alive right now, eat the ice cream. Your body needs the ice cream. You might be grounding yourself for this next shift that's happening. So trust your own intuition with this. But if you're already feeling within yourself like, yeah, I really do want to do that for myself, not need to, supposed to, got to in order to get something on the other side, but I really have been feeling the desire to honor that within my own self, really listen to that calling. Take time to get clear on your limiting beliefs. I do this amazing limiting belief clearing session. I offer it every 3rd month. We just had one last month, but connect with me. We'll figure out, we can do a bonus session or something if there's enough interest. So, clear out the limiting beliefs that are in your mind. If you don't have a protocol, again, come to one of my clearing sessions because you'll have a protocol. Really anchor yourself in the energetic levels and nourish yourself on the physical level, and all of this clarity will find you so much easier, so much quicker. Take action today on taking time to reflect over who that niche market is. And as you start to identify who that ideal client is, where to find them, and you start to engage in those conversations and identify what their big challenges are, identify what their end result that they really desire on. And as you focus all of your messaging and, conversations and everything to that, also take time to map out just for yourself, just for your own peace of mind of knowing what process would you take that person through to get them from where they are now to where they want to be. And as you identify that process, is going to be a big clue as to what your protocol is and what your offerings are. But it's also going to give you really great peace of mind to knowing that you are confident that you can get them to that end result. Whew, y'all, this is good stuff. And I hope that you have found it super impactful. I would love any comments, feedback, how you think this series is, how you think this particular training is. If you want to, definitely sign up for the series. You can have access to all the past trainings, all that good stuff. They're up on my website anyway. There's just an optional opt-in with it. But if you want to connect and stay connected, then definitely reach out to me and we will make that happen. Otherwise, join me back here the next couple of Wednesdays. I promise I will pin down times, give you more notice, but these are going to be available in replay anyway. But I plan on showing up the next 2 Wednesdays in a row to finish up this series and to usher in the next round of the 21-day money power shift. So reach out to me if you got any questions on any of that stuff. And otherwise, I will see you around Facebook or wherever I'm seeing you. And I love you. Bye.